Welcome to Today I Effed Up, where OP decides to spray deodorant all over his manhood. Our next post is by Shnoda. This story happened just a few months ago when I finally started my mandatory military service in my home country of Austria. I was 18 at that time. After a few days of getting used to the military, I fell sick due to COVID and had to pass on the 4 settling in marches. When I finally recovered and was able to do my first march, we already had to do 20 kilometers at once. And while everyone was already mentally prepared and thus already had a few tricks, I completely and utterly was not. I didn't even pack enough to drink, no energy boosters like bananas or coffee drinks, or even sports drinks for afterwards. The worst thing though was my choice of underwear for that day. I normally wear tight boxers, but because of some idiotic mind fart, I chose to wear some very loose sitting long boxers. Anyone that likes to go hiking or just has something more than mush as brains knows that that was a stupid idea. So about 10 kilometers in, and the skin between my legs starts to get irritated, so I open my fly to let out some air, and after about 4 more kilometers it starts to hurt, but I decided to pull through. The last few kilometers I was in complete agony. After a quick wipe test, I noticed that my inner thigh started to bleed. After we finally stopped at our destination, I reported to my NCO. We decided that I was able to be sent to the medic, who put some bandages and some cream around my legs to stop the bleeding and soothe the pain for a bit. After that, we trained in the forest, and then we drove back to the camp. Now this was already bad as it is, but now here's the real F up. After I was back at base and stowed away on my crap, I was to report back to the unit medic, but on my way there, I decided to take a quick leak. There is where I discovered that I pee blood. At the medic, we found out that not only was I raw, but I had blisters all over my manhood. He removed my bandages, gave me some ointment, and gave me 2 days off, then sent me back. On my way back, I met with an older colleague who I told my predicament to. He told me to spray deodorant on it, and it's going to be gone in a day. It's not even like he said it stinks though. I later talked to him that day and he meant it as a joke, not believing that I was stupid enough to believe him. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. The pain. That unforgettable, unending, mind-shattering pain. I never experienced stuff like this before, ever. It was like somebody stabbed my crotch, poured gasoline all over it, and lit it ablaze while shooting it with a shotgun. It was at that moment I cried for the first time in like 8 years. At that point, I believed that death would be a mercy. I had to use 1,000 milliliters of Bepathin for it to even go away. Luckily, it didn't get infected. Too long, didn't read. I marched my thighs and manhood bloody and sprayed deodorant all over it, making me regret my whole existence. Oh my god, OP, like I don't even know what to say, man. Like I I don't want I don't want to say that I wouldn't have done the same thing. Like, oh, okay. If I was in your shoes, I probably wouldn't have done the same thing. Like, I mean, it just sounds too wild for it to even be like, I guess, like true. You know, like you can tell when something's kind of like a joke and something's kind of like a lie or something like that. Like it'll be too outlandish, you know. But like I say, I guess in that scenario, you just kind of thought that, hey, it might work, right? Because I mean, think about it. Like, if it has some sense of logic, I guess, if you look at it a certain way. Because I mean, like deodorant, right? It deodorizes things like armpits and stuff like that. Like, it gives you a good scent. So I mean, I guess it cleans stuff, right? Maybe that's your thought process. I don't know. I know if you run for a really long time, or if you're just outdoors marching for a really long time, like say 20 kilometers like you had to do, maybe that could have been the root cause of your delusion, but yeah. Solid story. Our next story is by Low Mic Guy. Today I effed up by telling my mother-in-law her daughter likes big dicks. Okay, so I don't know what's with all the like phalluses and like pee jokes or whatever, pee stories. I'm just gonna say pee because like I don't want the video to get like not demonetized, but how would I say it? I guess nuked from orbit, I guess, because I know YouTube kind of doesn't like that language, so I'm trying to refrain from using it. But yeah, let's continue. This happened while on our way to get groceries. My mother-in-law and I, alone in the car together, passed several people walking dogs on the side of the road and started having an elementary conversation about what kind of dogs we liked. There is a language barrier between us. She speaks Mandarin/Cantonese and I speak English. Generally, we communicate through interpretive dance, but today we were vibing and wanted to give each other's language a go. I like small dogs, she says. I applaud her for her pronunciation and shower her with a few compliments that garner a Labrador smile. Alright, my turn. Okay, so I don't know, is this Cantonese? Or I don't know what language this is, so I'm just gonna try it out. Hopefully it's not that bad. Wo Shi Huan Xiao Huo. I think I did that right. I sweat through it. She smiles and praises me. I'm feeling myself, so I decide to really let her have it. I want to wow her, surprise her with my effing intellect. So I kick it up and replace Wo with my wife's name, small Zhao with big Da, and Go with Gao. Stunned silence. I say it again, stressing the pronunciation. She grins and mutters something while making some kind of eye contact with me. I smile back. Well, she told my wife, and holy crap, I've never felt so proud yet so embarrassed. On the bright side, I'm now enrolled in Chinese class, and my mom-in-law thinks I'm packing a massive donger. Too long, didn't read. Chinese intonations are important and can mean the difference between a large hog and a large dog. Okay, so I'm a little confused, OP. I've been trying to figure this out for a little bit. So you say you replaced Wo with your wife's name, so I guess let's just say her name was Jennifer, right? So you say Jennifer Ji Huan, and then you replace Zhao, which means small, with big, which means Da. So you say Jennifer Ji Huan Da, and then Gao, right? I think I said that right. Oh my. Alright, so one of the comments says, I told my wife that it might be small, but I have a pile driving ass. She said, yeah, but who's ever heard of driving a thumbtack with a sledgehammer? Our next story is by Diza2. Today I effed up by saying see you later to a woman on her deathbed. Just as the title says, my 98-year-old great-grandmother-in-law is on her way out. In and out of rehabs, recently had a stroke, and has been living with in-laws for the last couple of months. And I went to drop off my wife to spend her last couple of days with her. I held her hand, went in for a hug, and on my way out, I accidentally said, see you later, grandma. It was nice to see you, grandma. My father-in-law lost his mind laughing at me. I turned beet red. She's a good sport though, so it wasn't too bad. Provided this was just after my in-laws said to grandma, are you gonna have a good time with wife this week? And she said, well, I hope I'm not too much time. So she's ready to go. OP, these comments are insane. One of the comments says, relax, my wife said to 3 kids who lost their father, are you kids having fun? At their father's funeral. People say stuff that's weird all the time. It's part of human condition, don't let it get to you. To this day, she still says, did I say something weird to those kids? And I always say, no. Why? Alright, one more before we go. My standard response as a teenager when saying goodbye was have fun. Then accidentally I said it to the woman that I respected at her husband's funeral. I stopped saying it then. This has been r/today I effed up. Come back for more daily episodes.